Yo, what is up guys? It's Pedro here, and in today's video I'll be going over the big news that the Washington Commanders are not going to exercise Chase Young's 5th-year option. I'll talk about how this affects the Commanders' draft strategy, if I think Chase Young will still be here, beyond his 4th year, and if we could trade him. So if you guys are new, make sure to subscribe for Washington and NFL content. Also check out Mantis Sleep Mask. And guys, I'm a little under the weather, so that's why my voice is a little bit different, but let's get into it. So, Nikki Jabala from the Washington Post reported about an hour ago, and she said the Commanders are not going to exercise defensive end Chase Young's 5th-year option per source. So, not super, breaking news, because we knew this was a possibility, but a lot of people thought it was going to happen after the draft. That's when they were going to make the decision, but they did it before the draft, and yeah, man, Chase Young, number 2 overall pick, and he will be a free agent after this year. And same thing with Montez Sweat. So both of them could be gone, but at the same time, they could, get a deal done with one of them, maybe both of them. Probably not both of them, though, just because they've already paid Deron Payne over $20 million a year. They're already paying Jonathan Allen like $18, $19 million a year. And, Chase Young, if he balls out, it's going to be over 20. Same thing with Montez Sweat if he has a good year this year. So it's going to be hard to keep all 4 of them. We always knew that, but, it's still a little bit, weird to see that Chase Young, number 2 overall pick, will not have his 5th-year option picked up. And originally when I was thinking about this a couple months ago, I was like, okay, it's a no-brainer. Or not a no-brainer, but you should pick up that 5th-year option. But now, or like the last few weeks I've been thinking about it, it's like, okay, the guy had a really solid first year, had a really good year, especially the second half of the year. Was defense rookie of the year. The next year was not good at all in the first half, and then got hurt. He's been out for the last year and a half. So you don't know what type of player he is. And when he came back from the injury last year, obviously you weren't expecting him to be a star, but we still didn't see that number 2 overall player. But again, not expecting to see that, but just another kind of point to make there. So if you pick up that option, the 5th year, it's $17 million a year. So let's say he goes out there and has a bad year this year and has let's say 3-4 sacks over 17 games, maybe even 5 or 6 sacks. You're going to be paying him $17 million in that 5th year, and maybe that doesn't allow you to pay Montez Sweat. And people are going to say, well, if he balls out, then you lose a year. Well, yeah, that is true, but also, let's say he does ball out. You can obviously get an extension done with him, but also at the same time, you can franchise tag him, and that'll buy you more time to get a deal done, or you can just franchise tag him and have him for another year and get a deal done with Montez Sweat. That is another possibility for the Washington Commanders. Let's see. It's also important to note with Chase Young, he's going to have a full offseason, healthy, hopefully, and able to train, and Sam Mills isn't going to be there. There wasn't a great relationship there, and Ryan Kerrigan's there, so I think that could help. So that's definitely a factor. But this year, Chase Young has to step up. Like last year, obviously he had the injury, and so that was the excuse last year, and it was an excuse. It was warranted. But this year he has a full off season to prepare, and he's healthy, or at least that's what we think. He's healthy. Maybe the health of him is factoring in this decision, but he's healthy. New D-line coach and full off season to work. He needs to have a good year this year. He needs to have double-digit sacks, in my opinion, or show that he's a force to be reckoned with, because that's what we picked him to be with that number 2 overall pick. I know some people don't think he can get to that point. I still think it's there. I still think it's there, but he's got to it's got to happen this year, though. If it doesn't happen this year, then I think we just got to move on, or it's just he's Jadeveon Clowney at best if he doesn't really ball out this year. So there's still a chance you can bring it back Montez Sweat and maybe Chase Young. That's going to be tough, especially if they both ball out, but you can franchise tag one of them and try to extend the other. Or if let's say Chase Young balls out, you can try to extend him this next offseason, and then franchise tag Montez Sweat and either work out a trade or have him for a year and then you get a comp pick or something like that. That's something to consider there. And one other thing, there's a lot of contracts that are going to expire after this season. Chase Young, Montez Sweat, Cam Curl, Kendall Fuller, Curtis Samuel, Antonio Gibson. So you got to try to bring back some of those guys. Like I hopefully they can get a deal done with Cam Curl before the season starts, and that can knock out one of these guys. And then Curtis Samuel, I think it would be a loss, but if De'Ami Brown can step up this year, maybe that could be the replacement right there. And then Gibson, like, he's solid, but you know, the running back's the most replaceable position in football, so you're going to be able to, you know, get another guy in for him. And then if you can bring back Montez Sweat or Chase Young, one of those guys, I think you'll be fine. And maybe draft an edge in the third this year, especially if you trade back in the first and you get 2 third-round picks. Drafting an edge in the third would be a solid option. And then cornerback, again, you can draft one in the first or second, and that can be your replacement for Kendall Fuller. So they have a lot of guys missing, but they can do some things to mitigate those losses and bring some of those guys back, like Cam Curl. Again, try to get that done before the season. Maybe you can get a deal done with Montez Sweat done before the season and try to get it before he has a breakout year, but I don't think he's trying to do that. I think he's trying to have a big year and then cash in the next off season. That's what I would do if I were him, and I think that's what he's going to do because he's been consistent. Like, he's gotten 7-8 sacks every year or more. So if he does that again, he's going to have a solid contract, and you know, it's pretty safe to say he's going to do that. But if he has a big year like 11, 12 sacks, he'll get paid this offseason by someone. Also, guys, huge shout out to Manta Sleep for sponsoring this video. Once again, they're a sleep mask company that makes amazing sleep masks, a bunch of different types, some that can change the temperature so you can sleep at the temperature that you desire. Also, some with, you know, sound systems and speakers so you can listen to what you want, you know, when you're going to bed, and something to wake you up. And I've been using one for the last couple weeks, and it's been really, really helpful for me, and I've gotten some great sleep. So make sure you guys check them out and use code HTTC for 10% off. And if the Commanders do franchise tag him, it'll be a little, you know, around $19 million. So it'll be $2 million more than the 5th-year option. But that's why I think it is the right move to do it, just because if he doesn't work out this year, or if the injury is worse than we thought in terms of the fans, because they probably know how, you know, bad or good it is right now, then you're paying a guy over $17 million a year. So, or over 1 year, fully guaranteed. So it is risky to pick that option up. And, you know, I saw someone say, well, they picked up Montez Sweats, Daron Payne, Jonathan Allen's, but they didn't pick up Chase as well. They all, you know, showed more than Chase Young did in his, you know, 3 years. So, you know, I understand why people are upset, but, you know, it's too risky to pick it up, and they still will have at least a year or two of control if, you know, they want to, with a franchise tag in 2 years in a row. But I think that hopefully they don't get to that point, and hopefully he balls out. They pay him a ton of money, and he's here for the next few years. DMV guy, and want to, you know, keep him around. We picked him with the number 2 overall pick. Like, we picked him over Justin Herbert. Like, this, we want him to be here because, you know, it was a really, you know, expensive investment. We invested a lot into him, so he needs to ball out this year. He really, really does. And if he does, he'll get rewarded, and, you know, the Commanders will get rewarded as well. And so I think it'll be fine. I think Chase Young, you know, he might be like, okay, like, he might be a little bit mad with this, but at the same time, he should understand it. Like, what has he shown in this league besides that first year? Really nothing. So I hope he understands, you know, the situation he's in, and I hope he doesn't take it too personal. But at the same time, if he does, there's going to be probably a new regime here next year anyways, and they can probably repair the relationship if they need to. And if this changes anything in terms of taking someone at 16, I mean, maybe it makes it a little bit more likely, but I still don't think it's a good move. Even in the second round, you know, the goal is still to keep Montez Sweat and Chase Young. Like, you should still be able to keep one of those, maybe 2 of those, and a replacement isn't needed right now. Draft is not the only place you can get a replacement. You can also still draft someone in like the 3rd round this year and hope he develops in year 2 into a good starting edge rusher, and that would be the goal. So yeah, hopefully there's no Lucas Van Ness, Miles Murphy, Nolan Smith at 16, or even traded back. I don't think it would be a good idea. So that is it for today's video. Hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, hit that like button. Subscribe if you guys new. And yeah, one more day into the draft. Peace.